happening. Coach, congratulations. What a win, and a win in clutch time. What did you like best about the way your team closed tonight?
Well, I'm not sure we closed great. I thought what we did great was getting a lead that proved insurmountable, but then also, Jen, the last two possessions defensively were outstanding. I mean, outstanding. And then the one we turn into a fast break, which is something that we've talked about of not slowing down and holding the ball. So, yeah, the last, however many possessions it was, but the last two defensive possessions to close the game were great. I thought for most of the game, our half-court defense was really good against a very good team who didn't have a bad shooting night. I mean, they shot 40% from three and made 17 of them. It was our transition. You know, we were missing shots at the rim. We were turning the ball over. And even when we scored, we were not good getting back, and that's where they hurt us. When we could get back and set our defense, I thought for most of the game, we were far better than we've been.
You were especially potent in the third quarter, 40 points. You had 24 of those in the paint, which equals the entire score for the Jazz that quarter. What happened at halftime? Was there a particular message, something that was said, a change in strategy?
No, I mean, look, we had played okay. We just talked about basic things, getting back. And look, the Jazz, because of Rudy Gobert and Derek Favors, they stay home on the perimeter most of the time. We only got 11 three-point attempts. And they make you go to the basket and try to finish on those guys. The problem is, so we scored 74 points in the paint. The problem is, you know, you go in and miss, and then their guys are out in transition. And so it was tough for us. Look, that team has that record for a reason. And it was a great win to get. But the third quarter, obviously, both ends of the floor, we played really well.
Coach, it was interesting when we talked about it before the game, how you just can't get out of your own game when Utah started to make a lot of threes. And I don't know if you realize this, that's the first win in the NBA in 4 years when a team attempts 11 threes or less. And you didn't get out of your game, and it paid off.
I mean, look, I have no idea on stuff like that. I know that we didn't get many three-point looks. I think we missed some people when they were open from three. I do think that, where we could have made better decisions and shot a few more. But it's not easy to win a game where there's a 30-point differential from the arc. But our guys hung in there and got it done. And there's all different ways to win, especially in any individual game. And tonight we were able to get it done that way. I think if we had that differential in most games, it'd be tough.
Well, you mentioned the third quarter, 24 points allowed. When you go back to the first quarter, Coach, you only allowed 23 points in that first quarter. So those two quarters really got it done defensively and ultimately gotten you the ball game.
Yeah, look, I thought we did as good a job as we could do on their two starting guards, on Mitchell and Conley. I thought we did as good a job as we could have done. You know, Bogdanovich had a hell of a night. He really got going on us, and Clarkson hurt us. But I thought we did a pretty good job on the two starting guards. They've got so many weapons, and everybody can shoot it. Like I said, you know, the problem area for us, to me, was transition defense. And a lot of times, even though our offensive numbers look pretty good, it was bad offense that led to either forcing shots or turning the ball over, led to their scores. That's where we had a lot of problems.
Stan, Christian Clark here. During training camp, you used the word overwhelming to describe Zion going to the rim. I mean, is that a fair word for what we're seeing right now? I mean, what did you think about that stretch in the third quarter?
Third quarter was incredible, and then they did a much better job on him in the fourth, obviously. They adjusted and did a really good job down the stretch on him. But in the third quarter, he was overwhelming. And someday he's going to start to get the calls he deserves to get. You know, any game where he's not shooting 10 free throws or more, I'm guaranteeing you they missed calls.
You mentioned the last two defensive possessions. What did you really like from what you saw on those two possessions when you really needed stops?
Well, we were up and into people. We gave no space, and they didn't get a good look on either one of those. I mean, Conley tried to shoot a leaner, you know, and then Mitchell had stop and lean himself. We didn't foul, and we came up with rebounds. So, I mean, there was really nothing not to like. I mean, we did a fantastic job there on what we needed to do.
And follow up on what you said about Zion, you said they did a good job on him in the fourth quarter, but what do you think you have to do in those situations to make sure he gets shots regardless of what the defense?
Well, no. I can't make sure he gets shots. I mean, they're running big guys on him. I mean, you can get some guys shots, I mean, Brandon, you can get shots for. It's not easy sometimes if they're going to come at Zion like that. I can't get him shots. What we can get him is opportunities to attack and make plays. I mean, shots are, when you're a guy who goes to the rim all the time, shots are going to be determined by what the defense does, right? And so his decision-making down the stretch, as he already will tell you, his decision-making down the stretch was not very good tonight, and that's rare for him. Usually it's very good, but tonight, not very good down the stretch. But no, unless he's going to shoot jumpers, I'm not going to necessarily be able to get him shots, okay? In fact, if I made any mistake down the stretch, it was probably trying to do too many things to create opportunities for him when they were loaded up on him, and we probably should have just done some other stuff. So, if there was a mistake, that was it.
Hey, Stan Scott with NOLA.com. How do you, I know it's a long season, a lot of NBA games, things go, but how do you kind of explain you beat Milwaukee, you beat these guys, you lose to Minnesota, you lose to Detroit? Like, it just feels like you guys have a very high ceiling and a very low floor. Is there a rationale to that in your mind, or is it, just kind of the way the NBA goes?
Well, I think it is partially that, Scott. It is the way the NBA goes at times. And also, I just think we're one of those teams, like we're talented enough to beat anybody, but probably make enough mistakes and aren't consistent enough defensively that we can lose to anybody. So, I think that's sort of where we are right now. And the way you get out of that and gain consistency is you do a better job taking care of the ball, which we have gotten better at, but we weren't good at certain times tonight. And you defend and rebound. And, we defended down the last two possessions. We defended in the third quarter. We dominated the glass. When we can start to do those things consistently, then you can overcome some things and be more consistent. I mean, if you look at Utah and have the best record in the league, well, they're a top 3 or 4 team at both ends of the floor. Well, so if they're having a tough time stopping somebody, they can beat you with their offense. If they're struggling to shoot the ball, which it seems like they never do, then they can beat you with their defense. We're not there yet, okay? And that's going to lead to some consistency problems. I think over the last, even 5 or 6 games, we've been a little bit more consistent in terms of being competitive, staying in games and the whole thing. And we've just got to do enough to start getting over the hump more consistently.
Hey Stan, Andrew from ESPN. Two questions, if I will, if I can. First, is it frustrating to see you guys play the level of defense you play in the first quarter and third quarter against this team, and you have the capability to do it, and then they don't for so many stretches?
Well, again, tonight, Andrew, I thought for most of the game, and I'll go back and watch a film, but I thought for most of the game our half-court defense was pretty good. Our transition defense was horrendous, and part of it was, bad offense, but part of it was just not getting back. That's something that we've just got to do a whole lot better job of, and it's going to be hard for us because a team that attacks the basket as much as we do, I mean, like, there were 2 where Josh had great drives and goes down to the floor. Now you're 5-on-4 going the other way. And when you get 74 points in the paint, everything's going to the basket. It's hard enough when you score, but when you miss, the ball's going the other way. So our sense of urgency, our communication, the other 3 guys, like, we've got to be really on it in transition, and we weren't tonight. But our half-court defense, I thought, was a lot better.
You also switched the minutes between Zion and B.I. in the third quarter. Was that something was predetermined, or were you just kind of riding the hot hand with Z here?
No, it wasn't either. Actually, Brandon needed a rest, and Z said he was okay. So they pretty much made the decision for me, you know. So that's what happened there. Wasn't some great coaching move. It was Brandon needed a rest. So, but if you want to credit me for it, go ahead. Go ahead. Genius move. Genius.
What happened in the last 30 seconds? Look, I know you talked about consistency over and over and over in the last few weeks, but can what happened in the last 30 seconds, the way you guys turned it on against the team that's been the best team in the NBA and got it done, does that show real progress? Can that mean something, significant?
Well, I hope all of that, and the end of the game, the third quarter, the fourth quarter against Boston, I hope all of those things, will hammer home the message of what needs to be done to win games, and it's at the defensive end of the floor. And then it's just a matter of getting more consistent with that, and doing it for longer periods of time in every game and doing it every night.
Thanks, Coach. We're all set.
All right.